Okay, so Katie, so this is a video for you for buying me this. So this is, I'll unbox this thing just so you can see how neat the boxing or the packaging is. So that's the start. I've cut the seals. Okay. Now this is what you see when you just pull up the cover off. Okay. So that's the front end of the car. These are boxes. These are where the parts are. Those are the wheels over here. And if you look at the inside of the box, I mean, they've got pictures, little sketches of all the cars that Bugatti, I think these are all the cars that Bugatti has built. I think they're all supposed to have led up to the Chiron. And if you can start to see the front end, the design. There's the Veyron, which is the predecessor to the Chiron. And I mean, they look pretty similar. I'm not exactly sure. You can see there's a little bit of a difference from the front, the vents below the headlights. But this is the box, this is how they package these things, which is just kind of amazing. Okay, so now I have pulled the individual boxes out. So there's 5 boxes here, and there's actually 2 volumes to the assembly manual. And that's the assembly manual. That's, I'll guess, 3/4 of an inch thick, and that's volume 1. And down below here is volume 2. I think that's volume 2. At least it was in the bottom of the box. But yeah, it's book 1. And that's the real car. And then they go into a story of how they built, how they designed the Lego Bugatti. And there's the kind of an interesting pair off between the real one and the Lego. This is a guy, he rebuilt the model 100 times before he was satisfied. So again, there's a cute little comparison between the two. So anyway, so I haven't even gotten to the instructions yet. Oh, there's references to a podcast. Oh, I didn't notice that. So there's actually an audio. There's actually audio. Oh my gosh, there's audio that goes with this, which I guess I can find online somewhere. But, there's audio to go with these huge books. And note that I still have not, there's the guy that designed it. I have not gotten to the instructions yet. Oh, okay. Here's the instructions. This is the most sophisticated Lego Technic engine ever built. Well, this is supposed to be, I think, a V12 engine. No, it's a V16. It's a V16. And again, Volkswagen owns Bugatti, so they contributed the engine, or at least the engine technology, to this thing. So it'll go 261 miles an hour. I thought it would actually go faster than that. I think the other one would go. So anyway, so I don't know what page I'm up to. 21, page 21 in the book, before I get to the actual assembly instructions. Okay. So, and I imagine if I go through this, there are going to be pages where, like in the Porsche Porsche book, okay, when I got, there were sections in the middle where they also continued discussing the cars. Yeah, see here, well, there's something about the marriage process. So this is a step. This is probably joining the drivetrain to the chassis, and underneath the chassis, somewhere in here, the chassis has I think it's a 6-speed sequential gearbox that has to be built into the bottom of the chassis, like the Porsche actually. So, all right, so I'm gonna go have some fun building this thing. Just thought I'd let you have this little video of what was involved. Love you much. So this is the end of box 1, bags 1 and 2. And I still have, I have bag 3 from box 1. That's the engine. I discovered I made a mistake and I left out a gear, which is, oh my God, you know, it was a transmission full of gears. And I did find it. It was, fortunately, it was an easy, relatively easy one. I had to pull the transmission out again. It's kind of nice. The transmission just kind of slips in to the chassis, and then there's some stuff that goes on the front here that kind of blocks it in, and there's some things over here that also tend to block it in and lock it in. But so I got that fixed. So this is that's the transmission there, and that's the back end. And if you, it's kind of hard to do this with one hand, but if you spin the back wheels, there's a drive shaft that goes straight through down the middle, and the only connection between the transmission and the drivetrain is this one gear right there. That's it. That's the connection between the transmission and the drivetrain, and I don't know where the engine will connect. It may connect up here somewhere. I imagine the engine's going to end up sitting right about here. And this is, you can see my hand. It's you know, it's not a small assembly. Helpy Helperson. Yes. So there's the differential there. There's the drive shaft that runs through to the front. Eventually this is going to connect to the front wheels. And then and it's, you know, I don't know where I am. Probably I may have exceeded 500 pieces now. Probably have. But you know, these things are going to end up doing something with the shifting as well. You know, these are going to be running these cogs back and forth to either engage or disengage these gears. And I'll have to look at the instructions and see how many speed transmission this is going to be. I thought it was something like 4, but there's also going to be a reverse gear in there. So anyway, making progress. All right then, so box 1, bags 1, 2, and 3 are now done. So I've got the engine installed now on top of the transmission, and I know hand-wise, this is a substantial piece of stuff. I mean, one thing to point out is that this is a V16. This is the biggest Lego engine they've ever put in a model. And this is the back end. So you can see where the piston banks is 3 gears there. 1, 2, 3 are tying together basically 3 crankshafts to form the V16. So there's a V8 here, and then there's two 4-cylinder banks that are coupled together by those gears. The funny thing right now is that the engine, I can spin the engine. The engine isn't connected to the drivetrain yet. So I guess the drivetrain right now, the main drivetrain coupling is right there. All the rest of this is to do with gear shifting in the transmission, I believe. And I have the standard minimal leftover parts. This is the back end. This is the disc brake. I think this is going to end up being the brake caliper mount. Just look at that. Oh, it's on. Okay. So yeah. So this is. I mean, this is. I'm guessing this weighs a couple of pounds at least. There's the differential. There's starting to be a bit of I'll say a bit of gear resistance in this thing, where if you try to spin the drivetrain, it's like it spins better in one direction than the other. So it seems to spin forward better than reverse. There's something that catches. I'll have to go in here, maybe I'll have to stare at this for a while and try to figure out where it's catching. I think it's in the differential. Something's not spinning as easily as it should, but it spins forward just fine. All right, so that's the belly pan. So the next step is box 2, and it's what they call the marriage process. So I guess I'm going to build the front end next. And they apparently wanted to do this just like the real car. So you build the front end and then you marry the two. So that'll be coming up maybe tomorrow.